Hey guys, it's Max. Today I want to talk to you guys about another book that was on my fall TBR. I kind of did a review on the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. If you haven't seen that, I will link it in the description, but that book was also on my fall TBR, and in that video I kind of explained that this year I'm really trying to read a lot of fall books in the fall time because usually this time of year I'm stuck in some big fantasy series because I really like to read fantasy series. And also I just want to note I read this book like a week ago, so I need to kind of do like a little refresh to remind myself what happened. I actually read this book before the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and I also kind of think that might have been why that book was so bad, because I know most readers, if you're like me, if you read a book and it's good, the next book you read, it either has to top that book or it just kind of sucks. And I think because the Pumpkin Spice Cafe is also just a bad book, it kind of just made it really hard. So yeah, today I want to be talking about the book called House of Hunger. It's basically a gothic lesbian romance vampire fantasy horror book. That is how it's marketed, and I would say yeah, it does fit that description. I definitely have never read a lesbian romance before. I've read some gay romance books but not lesbian, so it was super interesting and I honestly liked it. It was pretty good. Spice level, I would rate it maybe a 4 out of 10. It definitely was descriptive, but not so much where you don't want to read it, if that makes sense. Anyways, I just wanted to put that out there because I know some readers care about it. Maybe it was a 5 actually, I'm not sure. There was definitely spice. So this book follows Marion, and she starts off in the slums. Also, I just want to note, this whole entire book, I read it in a British accent. Like, totally British accent vibes. Let me read you guys the synopsis, actually, before I start just, describing her. I'm honestly really excited to make this video. This book is one of the books that I've read in a long time that actually makes me excited to talk about. So the synopsis says, Marion Shaw has been raised in the slums where want and deprivation is all she knows. Despite longing to leave the city and its miseries, she has no real hope of escape until the day she spots a peculiar listing in the newspaper seeking a blood maid. Though she knows little about the far north, where wealthy nobles live in luxury and drink the blood of those in their service, Marion applies to the position. In a matter of days, she finds herself the newest blood maid at the notorious House of Hunger. There, Marion is swept into a world of dark debauchery, and at the center of it all is her, Countess Lisavette. I hope I'm saying that right. Countess? I feel like it should be like Countess. I don't know. It's spelled Countess, okay? Countess Lisavette, who presides in the hedonistic court, is loved and feared in equal measure. She takes a special interest in Marion. Lisavette is magnetic, and Marion is eager to please her new mistress, but when her fellow bloodmaids begin to go missing in the night, Marion is thrust into a vicious game of cat and mouse. She'll need to learn the rules of her new home, and fast, or its halls will soon become her grave. Oh, it is so spooky, you guys. It's so spooky. So basically, yeah, she starts super poor, and she's in the slums, and remember, she's probably British, so she's probably talking like this, and she's basically this woman's servant. She kind of bathes her, takes care of her. She kind of is a nurse in a way, but not really, because she's also scrubbing the floors all day. She's working super long hours. Both her parents are dead, by the way, so she lives in her parents' old basically shack with her brother. And also, her brother doesn't work, but I'll get into that in a second. So, yeah, she's basically working for this lady, and she's getting paid almost nothing. She's so poor that it's said in the book that she buys cigarettes instead of food because cigarettes are cheaper than food and they curb her appetite. So she's basically not eating. And her brother is just addicted to drugs and alcohol, so he kind of keeps taking her money too, which basically if he keeps doing that, they're gonna actually be homeless, and it's the winter time and they're constantly freezing, so he's basically fucking them over. because of his addictions, and she's kind of getting sick of it. And her best friend works at a factory, and she's kind of like really sick from the fumes, and she's like described as super sick, and her hair's falling out, and she's like kind of fugly. But Marion is described as insecure. Like, she doesn't think that she's beautiful, but it's one of those books where it's like, oh, the main character like doesn't really realize it, but they're basically like gorgeous. I mean, if you look at her on the cover, she's beautiful. Obviously, don't judge a book by its cover, whatever, but the whole book I pictured Marion as the woman who's on the cover of the book, who is very beautiful. So she's basically this super hot girl, and she's super poor though, so she's like kind of nasty because she doesn't bathe and stuff. So she's in the slums, whatever, and she sees this article in the newspaper that's basically like, hey, we're looking for a blood maid, come to this address at this time, and you know, we'll kind of see what's up and see if you fit the position. So she sneaks out and goes there. Also, the thing about blood maids, when I say this, there's no context given, so let me just give you a little context. The blood maids are rumored at this point in the book to be maids, obviously, who bleed. They give their blood to help counts or countesses, nobles, whatever. I don't really know the terminology, but basically they give their blood to these people because it helps them, because they have some sort of sickness where the blood kind of heals them and helps them live, because they're basically dying without blood. So these blood maids are basically indentured slaves or servants where they have a contract, and once the contract is over, they are basically able to retire, and they get a house given to them, and basically a bunch of money is just paid to them like for the rest of their life. Like, it's a retirement fund basically. So it's very tempting for these girls in the slums because, well, they don't have anything really. So honestly, the chance at getting this better life, who wouldn't want to do that? It's so tempting. So basically that's why she's tempted. So she goes to it. She goes to the interview, if that's what you want to call it, and he cuts her a little bit and tastes her blood, and he says that it's good, and then he gives her a ticket for the train that goes up north. And it's basically described that this ticket costs more than like 10 years of her salary or something. That's how little she's making. So she goes home and hides it because she still kind of wants to think about it, because she'd be leaving her brother and her friend behind and her job, which she like kind of hates, to be honest. So she thinks about it, and then she's at work the next day, and her boss is just like so annoying and rude. She's just a rude old lady. So this is the part of the video, by the way, where there's probably going to be a little bit of spoilers. I kind of just told you a little bit about the beginning of the book, but now we're going to be getting into a little bit more of the spoilers. So if you don't want any, definitely click away and go read the book, because it's super good. So yeah, she's at work the day after she gets this ticket, and bro, she crashes out. Okay, she like dumps this jar of leeches on this old lady, and literally just runs home and decides that she's leaving. And when she gets there, basically her brother has the ticket and he has burned it. So he basically ruined her chance. And so because of this, she actually kills him on accident. They get in a fight, and basically he falls backwards into the fireplace and hits his head and like cracks his head open, and it's described. So yeah, he basically gets killed, and then she runs to the train station. Actually, I might have been mistelling the story. I think that she dumps the leeches on the woman's head and then goes to the job interview. Either way, she crashes out on her boss and then decides she's leaving. Okay, that's all you really need to know. It doesn't matter like the details. I'm sure someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So basically, she accidentally kills her brother, and then she decides she's leaving. So she runs to the train station, even though she doesn't have a ticket because her brother freaking burned it. Like, what the heck, dude? And when she gets there, she sees the man who interviewed her, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll buy you a new ticket. And on this train, there's like a feast and all of this stuff, and she basically gets a taste of what her new life is going to be like, which is luxurious. I mean, any of this food is it's so amazing for her because she doesn't really eat anything. Like I mentioned earlier, she's basically living off cigarettes. So yeah, all of this stuff is super exciting to her, and she's very, very unsure, but also ecstatic. Like, she's so excited, but also nervous. So she basically gets to this mansion with the man she's with. He's called a taster, by the way. I didn't mention that, but his role in the book is he's a taster. So he goes around and does all of these job recruitments and tastes girls' blood, and if they taste good, then he'll like bring them to these high nobles' houses to offer them, and the nobles have to taste them and accept if they want them or not, basically. So he's basically a blood maid recruiter, and I'm pretty sure his name's Theodore or something. I don't remember actually, but basically this guy and her get off the train, and then they have to take a boat to this island. So it is an island in the middle of a lake or something. I don't know. It's basically secluded. It's all you really need to know. And it has this huge mansion on it. It's described as something that took 100 of years to make. So I thought it was cool the way it was described. The author is really good at descriptions, and honestly, I really liked her writing style. It was super nice. So basically they get there, and the countess is like, we didn't ask for any new blood maids. We already have like 5 or something. There's not that many for each house. There's different houses. She just so happened to be recruited and offered to the House of Hunger, but there's like several different houses with lore and stuff like that. I didn't really pay attention too much to the politics in the book. I honestly don't really like when books have like their own politics. I find it really hard to follow along. I'm just here for the romance and the craziness. I don't really care about the politics side, but there's some sort of like lore going on between the houses, but it seems like pretty insignificant. So she basically gets offered to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth tries her blood and is like, oh yeah, girl, like, you're staying. So basically the house, it's a mega mansion. They have their own rooms, all of the blood maids. There's like so much bougie food. It's basically like crazy. And the blood maids, their responsibility is obviously to give blood. So they have to like bleed into cups, and it's made into food or drink or all sorts of stuff. Like there's soup and broth and cakes, and it's just all, their blood is basically baked into everything. Not that they consume, only for Elizabeth and some of the nobles. So basically Elizabeth is described as this like super hot lesbian woman, but she also has like a chronic illness, so she's kind of frail because she obviously needs these girls' blood to sustain her. And at this point in the book, I'm like, okay, I don't actually think she's like a vampire. I think she's just like a vampire in the sense that she needs blood because she has a health condition. And I think that's what the author wanted us to believe, because I honestly believe that until the end of the book. So basically, she sees this hot countess, whatever. She starts working for her as a blood maid, and there's status among the blood maids. There's like first, second, and third, basically just who the countess favorite is. And Marion Soonley decides, I don't know if that's a word, Soonley, but she basically decides like, yeah, I want to be number 1. She went from being a girl in the slums to basically wanting to be the number 1 blood maid in this house. So she kind of has a little bit of competition with Cecilia, who is the first blood maid, which doesn't last very long because Cecilia starts going insane, and she starts ripping her teeth out and going crazy, and a bunch of other like really ominous weird stuff starts happening. Definitely read the book for more details. I'm kind of just giving a quick summary, but it's been like 10 minutes so far, and I probably have like at least 10 more minutes of explaining to go. So Cecilia starts going crazy. She's the first blood maid. She ends up just getting retired because she actually tried to kill Marion. So she gets her retirement early, her service ends, and she is said to have moved into her mansion far away with her money being paid to her, and the girls start writing her letters and everything. And Marion replaces her as first girl. So when Marion does this, she starts becoming more protective over Lisavet, like possessive is a word that I would use to describe it, because she doesn't want Lisavet to be with the other girls. Also, I didn't mention this is a little inappropriate, but basically Lisavet has sex with all of these girls, all of these blood maids. There's lots of orgies and lesbian sex and all sorts of just lesbian stuff between Lisavet and all the blood maids. And like during the sex, she's like drinking their blood and biting their thighs and stuff like that. So basically, Marion doesn't want that to happen anymore. Like, she's willing to even get sick. She's starting to get sick from how much blood she's giving, and she's starting to get like very weak because she's giving so much blood because she doesn't want Lisavet to take any from the other girls. And basically, Marion is playing Fox and Hound with this little girl who lives in the house. And when she's hiding, this game's kind of like hide and seek, but when Marion's hiding, she kind of like falls into a secret passageway in the wall. And when she does this, she kind of finds like a stairway and some other weird stuff, but before she like goes down and looks, she gets out and runs into her tutor. And her tutor basically is like super frantic and trying to warn her. And then the house mother comes in, which is like, she's almost like the manager, or she is the house mother, I guess. She's in charge of the girls when Lisavet is not around. So the house mother comes in and basically shuts everything down, interrupts, and then you never see the tutor again. At this point, Marion is like, okay, yeah, they definitely like did something to him. So she breaks into the house mother's office. Essentially, what she discovers in this office is, okay, there's two things. One, she hasn't sent any of the letters that the girls have been writing to Cecilia. And two, nobody's been getting paid. There's no document of any retired blood maid getting paid. At this point, Marion, she connects the dots and she basically knows, okay, yeah, these girls are getting killed. So to confirm her suspicions, also at this point, because she is Lisavet's number one blood maid, she's like staying in her bed with her at night. And Lisavet keeps sleeping and then sneaking out in the middle of the night. I don't know if I mentioned that. I don't think I did. So Lisavet keeps sneaking out in the middle of the night, and Marion basically pretends to be asleep until she leaves and then follows her. And she goes into this secret passageway and goes deeper than Marion went before. And basically there's this huge dungeon underneath the mansion. I might have called it a castle a few times. It's kind of both. I don't know. If I did, sorry. It doesn't really matter. I hope you know what I mean. But she goes underneath this mansion and there's like dungeons and a torture chamber and all of this like really freaky stuff. And she basically is hiding behind a pillar or something, and she sees Cecilia and she looks like haggard and old, like she's like 100 years old. And Lisavet is basically torturing her and sucking her blood. And it's described that when her blood is getting sucked, Marion can see the life draining from her, and she's basically turning into like a husk of an old woman, even though they're both supposed to be like mid-20s or something like that. So basically this is where the supernatural part comes in, and this is near the end of the book. This is where I was like, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, she's definitely a vampire. Because the whole book I was fooled. I was like, oh man, yeah, she definitely just has like a health condition, but no. She's some sort of like weird demon, okay? And so Marion sneaks out and she tells all the other girls, and at first they don't believe her, and then they do. And then they all make a plan to sneak out. Basically, after this point in the book, this is where my 5 stars turned into 4.5, just because I feel like the ending of this book could have been drawn out a bit more, but it seemed so rushed, like the author was trying to just get everything out as soon as possible. Basically, the girls make this plan, and then the house mother finds out and basically captures all of the girls except for Marion. and then takes him to the dungeon with Cecilia, and then they also eventually capture Marion. Somehow she escapes from the dungeon, lets all the girls out, and then there's basically this big chase throughout the house, and they end up killing Lisavet and escaping, and it's kind of a happy ending. So that's basically the summary of the book. I did really like it, and it was super good. The only thing I would have changed, like I said, is just the pacing near the end of the book. But yeah, if you like vampire books, it was a vampire book, but it was definitely more realistic horror. I would say it wasn't super Dracula, but it was really good. So yeah, if you want a spooky read, you definitely still have time. It's only November 1st, the day I'm filming this. You also don't have to read spooky books during spooky time. I wanted to try timing my reading with the season, and it kind of made it a lot more vibey for me. So yeah, definitely go check this book out, and then come back and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you stayed this far in the video, thank you so much, because this is a 20-minute video so far where I'm at, and that's a really long time, especially for a new viewer. So I really appreciate you sticking this far in the video. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!